And after a sustained campaign to bury the truth, there's now a bid to black out injustice of the Hindu Holocaust. But Times is relentless in its fight to reopen the Kashmir Files. After the film, Kashmir Files created ripples not just in the box office, but in the political corridors as well. A red-faced Congress has launched an offensive. In a detailed press conferences as well as meandering tweets, its leaders have dismissed the film as half-truths and full lies. Times has pointed questions on accountability of the then Congress Party for the Hindu Genocide went unanswered. Congress instead launched a full-on offensive against the film. Watch this.
जैसे कि उसके हीरो कृष्णा खुद ही कहते हैं कि बौद्धिस्टों को भी मारा गया है, सिखों को भी मारा गया है और मुस्लिम को भी मारा गया है, तो वो चीज़ें तो नहीं दिखाई गई। देखने के बाद बता रहे हैं कि पिक्चर आधी अधूरी है, पूरी सच नहीं बताई गई है और उसका समाधान कुछ नहीं है। और ऐसे पिक्चर जिसमें समाधान नहीं है, उस दिशा में कोई प्रयास नहीं है, कोई संदेश नहीं देने की कोशिश, केवल हिंसा दिखाने की कोशिश है, मैं नहीं समझता इसका कोई औचित्य है।
ये बात भी तो पूछनी चाहिए कि जो आज इस फिल्म के द्वारा एक राजनीति कर रहे हैं इस पूरे मसले पर, उन्होंने क्या किया इसका सकारात्मक। आपने 370 आया, ठीक है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, 370 ऐसे भी मर सा गया था। उसके बाद क्या पिछले 2-2.5 साल में वहाँ आप लोगों को वापस भेज पाए हैं कि नहीं? क्या जिस तरीके से उनको एक सहायता मिलती है वो मिलती है कि नहीं?
Militants had done that. We are condemned that. Targeting Congress for something that was done during the time when Mr. VP Singh was the Prime Minister and BJP was supporting his government, and when Mr. Jagmohan Singh was the governor, is something which is very absurd.
Now, just juxtapose this outrage by the Congress Party with the way they hail films on the 2002 Gujarat riots. Kashmir Files was for propaganda, but films like Parzania and Firaaq were hailed as the gospel truth. Parzania was in fact released in 2007. It's a film on the 2002 Gujarat riots. It was in fact said that they wanted people to watch the film without fear, and that special screening was planned to expose the BJP. This was said by Himanshu Vyas, the Gujarat Congress spokesperson at that point of time. There's also the movie Firaaq in 2009, and this is a film again on the 2002 Gujarat riots. Rahul Gandhi was a special guest at the screening, and Rahul Gandhi couldn't stop praising the movie, is what we were told, particularly by the director Madhavdas.
मैंने भी कश्मीर फाइल देखी है। कश्मीर फाइल देखने के बाद एक बात बहुत साफ हमें समझ में आई कि इस कश्मीर फाइल ने कई पार्टियों और परिवारों के गुनाहों की फाइल को फिर से खोल दिया है। और ये वो परिवार और पार्टियां हैं जिन्होंने कश्मीर को परेशान किया, कश्मीरियों का पलायन कराया। तो निश्चित तौर से वो परिवार और वो पार्टियां परेशान ज़रूर होंगी जिन्होंने कि अपने इस गुनाहों की फाइल को जो है वो किसी कारपेट में छिपा दिया था या कहीं किसी तहखाने में डाल दिया था।
मैं विवेक जी को इस बात के लिए धन्यवाद दूंगा कि सच को उन्होंने उजागर किया है। सच देश में जो लोग नहीं जानते थे वो भी जानेंगे। और अब ये सौभाग्य हमारा कि मोदी जी भारत के प्रधानमंत्री है, कश्मीर से धारा 370 हट गई है और कश्मीर की परिस्थितियां बदलती जा रही हैं। लेकिन इस फिल्म में जो सच दिखाया गया है वो देखकर मन तकलीफ और दर्द से भर जाता है। अपनी जन्मभूमि से, मां शारदा की भूमि से, ज्ञान की उस पवित्र भूमि से अपने ही भाई और बहन, अपने बेटा बेटी बेदखल कर दी गई और जैसे अत्याचार हुए हैं उनके ऊपर, सचमुच में रोंगटे खड़े हो जाते हैं।
दुर्भाग्य है कि कश्मीरी पंडितों को वहां से निकलना पड़ा है। ये पूरी उस समय भी हम लोग जितनी बड़ी चिंता में थे उसका कोई बयान नहीं कर सकते। बीपी सिंह की सरकार में हम लोगों ने होम मिनिस्टर बनाया था मुफ्ती मोहम्मद साहब को। कश्मीर के मामले में हम लोगों से जो बन सकता है वो कोई सरकार को कोई आलोचना उसकी नहीं कर सकता।
Let me quickly go across to Ishan, who's joining us live from Srinagar. Ishan, massive political fight breaking out, and the question being asked by the BJP is that if Kashmir Files is propaganda, then what about other films such as Parzania and Firaaq, which were hailed as gospel truth earlier?
Well, we have seen BJP also in the past alleging Congress of picking selective truth and actually, only choosing that part of the truth which helps the Congress party. That has been the major allegation by the BJP towards the Congress. But Congress, on the other hand, has been actually countering BJP with the certain, saying that when this actually episodes took place, the government at the center was backed by the BJP, and why didn't they do anything? Now, then allegations go on, say that Rajiv Gandhi was not enough serious about Kashmir, then his political, friendships with Abdullahs, and then also, the circumstances under which signals were being sent by Jagmohan, who claims that he sent a warning signals. All of this is turning out into a political blame game. But at the same time, there are Kashmiri Pandit leaders and Kashmiri Pandits who are asking governments to take concrete steps because their, grievances haven't been heard, and they claim that successive governments have actually failed them.
Thanks so much for joining us, Ishan, with that quick update. Let me take this across to our guest now. Joining us, Shazia Ilmi is with us. She's the national spokesperson of the BJP. With us also is Amit Raina, Kashmiri Pandit activist, and Majid Hydari, who's a political analyst as well. I'm going to come across to you first. Shazia Ilmi, the first allegation that is being made by leaders, and you would have seen the statement of Bhupesh Baghel and others, where they are saying that it is only a partial truth that has been depicted in this film. It's not a complete truth. The way in which other communities were targeted, whether Sikhs or Muslims, has not been depicted in this film. Your response to that criticism coming in from Congress?
I think it's so grossly unfair. And I just want to tell you some things. I have been to Kashmir many times since I was in class 8th, 9th and 10th. So all those years. And so many of my Kashmiri Muslim friends have told me such sad stories. There is somebody who's almost 50 now, who lives in Washington, and he's a very senior doctor. And he said that in front of him and the entire neighborhood, his very dear teacher, a Kashmiri Pandit, was killed. And nobody could say a word. And he was an elderly person, but all the students loved him. And as a kid, he wanted to help him. And he kept asking for water. And he says, and he's a Muslim, and he says, I'm so ashamed of myself, but I was a kid. And my mother said, don't, ab tum nahi jao, tumhe hum log ko maar denge. And he's traumatized, and he says it's like a curse. So, it's so unfair that we're not ready to look at the truth. And that everything is seen as a Muslim death and a Hindu death, and it's so politicized. I think it will clear our conscience, just to be honest about this. And I feel so sad that people are not ready to be honest about it. I mean, beyond a point, it's not about politics. It's about just honesty, your own personal integrity, and your own conscience, and the nation's conscience too, because collectively we make a nation, you see. So individual conscience must matter. And I don't know, I have heard, and so many Muslim families will agree with you. I can tell you right now, why they didn't speak out? Because they were scared.
Okay.
And they love these neighbors too, and it was the brutalities they were subjected to was it's horrifying.
Well, maybe they didn't speak out because they were scared, but in several cases, even despite the fact that family members were willing to come out and give their witness statements, the police did not even interrogate them. Let me bring in Majid Hydari on that count. Majid Hydari, the fact is that there was a genocide, says the BJP, and that fact has been conveniently ignored by not just regimes that protected actively the terrorists who carried out these targeted killings, but also, in fact, went so soft on them that even serial killers like Bitta Karate were let off lightly.
So firstly, nobody has been denying the tragedy of Kashmiri Pandits. But here I want to remind you that Karni Sena had gone on rampage, attacked school children, school buses, cinema halls, and even shopping malls just because they disliked a fiction Padmavat, where Muslim Alauddin Khilji was being showing as trying to cajole the Rani Padmavat. But here,
are you actually comparing today Karni Sena with terrorist groups and terrorist leaders? Come on, Majid Hydari, please. Nobody. The principle of no citizen should take. Sir, nobody should take law into their own hands. That's a given. But is there any comparing the kind of torture and pain that these Kashmiri Pandits have gone through?
Nobody is questioning that. But now I want to come to the point of Kashmiri Pandits, sir.
Sir, but the Pandits were forced to leave their homeland.
Will we mourn the tragedy of Kashmiri Pandits even after 32 years? What about their rehabilitation? What about the Naya Jammu Kashmir, Naya Nav Bharat? When will Kashmiri Pandits return to their homeland? And what about who were behind these incidents?
Majid Hydari, what have Kashmir parties done? What have Kashmiri parties done? What have Kashmiri parties done for this rehabilitation? The BJP has been in power for 7 years. I will ask them. But why have Kashmir parties not taken that initiative? Can you explain that to me? What have the NC and PDP done?
The Kashmiri parties, BJP government has been at the helm for the last 15 years now. In 2017, Honorable Supreme Court had said that Kashmiri Pandit tragedy cannot be probed. Why didn't BJP government order an inquiry? Where is the white paper? Nobody knows anything. It's hearsay.
I don't know how you can say 15 years, but I'm going to bring in fact, Amit Raina. Amit Raina, when you hear these arguments coming in from Majid Hydari, the question that comes to mind is first, accept what has happened. Because he says there are members of other communities also that have been killed. But it's only the Kashmiri Pandits who had to flee from their homes, leave everything behind. And that's something that just doesn't seem to register.
See, I fully agree with Shazia that you should get people on this debate who are not mentally bankrupt. You can come wearing a suit that does not make you someone intelligent. It just may mask your mental bankruptcy, that's all. Comparing one death with another is the most idiotic thing I have ever heard. When has a Kashmir that other people who have been killed in Jammu and Kashmir should not get justice? There are 1,500 policemen killed in Jammu and Kashmir and 30,000 terrorists. So tomorrow you will say, oh, 30,000 terrorists are killed. They are bigger martyrs and 1,500 policemen are a smaller number, so we should not bother about them. 1,500 JK policemen have been killed. Give justice to them. So where? But you cannot say, because so-and-so has not got justice, so-and-so should not get justice. And this is a section of the community, an ethnic minority, aborigines of Kashmiris, whom you hounded out. See, the crime is not only about killing.
Okay, Sanam Shah.
Genocide. You need to give me a minute.
We're almost out of time. Yeah. Quickly make your point.
Yes. You are ensuring and cleansing of a community who has 5,000 years of existence. If that is not genocide, what is genocide?
Okay.
Genocide is not only about numbers.
Okay, it's ethnic cleansing. Sanam Shah.
A community.
Sanam Shah, I want Sanam Shah to come in now, political analyst. Sanam Shah, it is ethnic cleansing, and there were deliberate attempts at, subverting this, at, trying to hide this by calling it, voluntary migration, for instance, instead of actually calling them refugees by various regimes. Sanam Shah, can you hear me? All right, I'm sorry. I don't think there's an audio problem there. I don't think we are able to connect with Mr. Sanam Shah. In fact,
why are you giving
right, we have some breaking news coming in. Shazia Ilmi, Amit Raina, Majid Hydari, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. And this is the breaking news coming in. The G23 second meet taking place in 24 hours. The meeting taking place at Ghulam Nabi Azad's residence. Sources say that Ghulam Nabi Azad has sought an appointment with Sonia Gandhi. The appointment has not yet been given by her, is the information coming in. Big development indeed. The second meeting of G23 taking place within a span of 24 hours. What really will happen from here on, given the kind of statements coming in as far as T.S. Singh Deo, in fact, demanding action on Kapil Sibal is concerned. Let me go across to Sharon, who's joining us. Sharon, second meeting of G23 in 24 hours. What's on the agenda?
This is going to be a very crucial meeting because remember today in the afternoon, Bhupendra Singh Hooda, who was part of the G23 dinner come meeting last night, has in fact met Rahul Gandhi at his residence. It was an hour-long meeting, after which he immediately, after the meeting, he went to Ghulam Nabi Azad's residence, and today evening we are seeing that once again, in the time frame of about 24 hours itself, a second meeting is in fact taking place at Ghulam Nabi Azad's residence, where there is already Kapil Sibal, Anand Sharma, Bhupendra Singh Hooda, who are present in the meeting, and our sources have been telling us that Ghulam Nabi Azad has in fact sought an appointment from Sonia Gandhi, and so far Sonia Gandhi's office has not given him any appointment as of now. But it looks like this is going to be a very crucial meeting because they are now reaching out to the High Command, Congress High Command, whether an appointment will be given or not, whether this situation will be sorted out at this point, because back-to-back meeting really suggests that these G23 leaders are trying to reach out, and especially after we have seen how Kapil Sibal have been criticized by a number of leaders, number of Congress MPs from within the party, saying that the kind of comment that he has made criticizing the leadership is being condemned, and such meetings should not be taken and action should be taken. So whether action will be taken or not, and what was really discussed at Rahul Gandhi's residence with Bhupendra Singh Hooda all this is going to be very crucial, and something will definitely come out of this meeting is what our sources have been telling us. The meeting has begun now. In about a few hours